2 years ago, the tennis world was told he had cheated. The entire sport waited for him to collapse. The man they were waiting on was Jannik Sinner, 24 years old, already holding Grand Slam titles and widely considered the best tennis player alive. Instead of collapsing, he won Wimbledon. He won the French Open. He defended his Australian Open title. And in 2026, he started the season by winning 4 straight titles, a streak nobody has matched since Djokovic was at his absolute peak. This is not a highlight reel. It is the case for why Jannik Sinner may become the most mentally dominant tennis player since Djokovic, and why every obstacle that tried to stop him only made that case stronger. His name is Jannik Sinner. He is 24 years old, and the most interesting part of this story is not what he won. It is how he won it, while the whole world was watching him fall apart. Subscribe right now, because by the time this video ends, you will understand why tennis is not just watching a great player rise. It is watching a new era begin. There is no tennis academy at the beginning of this story. Jannik Sinner was born on August 16, 2001 in Val Pusteria, a small valley carved into the snowy mountains of South Tyrol, northern Italy. His parents ran a restaurant on a ski slope. Before Jannik ever held a tennis racket, he was flying down steep mountain trails as a competitive junior skier, racing against older boys in conditions that punished every mistake immediately and without mercy. Skiing teaches something no coach can put in a lesson plan. When you are racing down a mountain at full speed, there is no time to panic. If you panic, you crash. You learn to stay calm under pressure. Not because someone told you to, but because the mountain punishes you the moment you don't. Jannik Sinner learned that lesson before he was a teenager, and he never forgot it. At 13, he made a decision that shocked everyone who knew him. He quit skiing. He moved across Italy to Riccardo Piatti's tennis academy. His family had no tennis background, no connections, no guarantee of anything, just a mountain kid betting entirely on himself. By 2018, he was a professional. By 2019, he was inside the ATP Top 100. And in September 2020, at just 19 years old and unseeded at the French Open, he walked onto the court in Paris and defeated Alexander Zverev, a top 10 player, in 4 sets. The mountain had followed him out of the valley and onto the biggest courts in the world. Most people discovered Jannik Sinner in 2024. The real story started earlier, and almost nobody noticed. No Grand Slam victories, no major headlines. Just Sinner is traveling the world, week after week, learning how to close out matches under pressure in smaller tournaments that most tennis fans never watch. Each one was teaching him something he needed. Each one adds a layer of competitive hardness that talent alone could never build. Then came November 2023. The Davis Cup. Italy against the world. Italy had not won the Davis Cup since 1976. A gap of 47 years. In the decisive matches, with every Italian fan holding their breath and the weight of nearly half a century pressing down on the court, Sinner stepped forward and delivered. Italy won. The drought was over. The entire country felt it simultaneously. By the end of 2023, every major player had a specific game plan built around stopping him. And he had something more valuable than any ranking number. He had learned how to win when everything was on the line. What came next proved exactly how true that was. January 2024, Melbourne Park, the Australian Open final. His opponent was Daniil Medvedev, the reigning US Open champion, one of the best hardcourt players alive, and a man who had already beaten the greatest players in history on this exact surface. Sinner lost the first set, then the second. 2-0. In the entire history of men's Grand Slam tennis, fewer than 5 players had ever recovered from that position to win the title. Pete Sampras never did it. Andre Agassi never did it. Most players in that situation are already mentally gone, counting the games remaining before it ends rather than finding a way back. Sinner won the 3rd set, then the 4th, then the 5th. When he raised his arms at Melbourne Park, he became the first Italian man to win a Grand Slam in the Open era. Back in Italy, people were dancing in the streets. His country had waited decades for this moment. But what mattered most was not the trophy. It was the evidence. 2 sets down against one of the best players in the world, on the biggest stage in tennis. And he did not panic. He stayed calm. He trusted everything the mountain had taught him before he ever picked up a racket. He was about to need that trust more than he could have known. August 2024. The tennis world stopped. The International Tennis Integrity Agency announced that Sinner had tested positive for clostebol, a banned steroid. In March 2024, 2 separate tests, right in the middle of the best season of his career. Clostebol is a performance-enhancing substance explicitly banned across every major sport. Its presence in 2 separate samples made accidental contamination difficult to argue, and the tennis world began preparing for the worst. The amounts found were microscopic, less than 1/1000th of a gram. His explanation was specific. His physiotherapist had used a cream containing the substance on his own skin, then massaged Sinner without wearing gloves. The contamination was accidental and unintentional. An independent tribunal investigated every detail. They believed him. He was cleared. But WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, the body that governs drug testing across every major sport globally, was not satisfied. They appealed for a ban of 1 to 2 years. 18 months of legal uncertainty followed. His career could be suspended at any moment. His titles could be reviewed. Every match he played existed under the shadow of a case that had not yet been resolved. In January 2025, Sinner walked back onto the Melbourne court to defend his Australian Open title with that appeal still hanging over his head. The legal outcome could arrive before the trophy ceremony. He crushed Alexander Zverev 6-3, 7-6, 6-3 in the final. After the match, a reporter asked about the WADA appeal. Sinner's answer, "I still believe the ruling will go in a positive way. At this moment, I am not focusing on that." The mountain does not negotiate, and neither did he. February 2025. The case ended. Sinner and WADA reached a settlement. A 3-month suspension from February to May. No titles taken away, no prize money lost. WADA's official statement confirmed what the tribunal had already found. Sinner did not intend to cheat. 18 months of legal uncertainty. Over. May 2025. Sinner returned at the Italian Open in Rome, 3 months away from professional tennis. Most players need weeks just to find their rhythm after any significant break. The timing, the footwork, the competitive instincts that only stay sharp through constant match play. He returned after 3 months and walked straight into a Grand Slam. The French Open, Roland Garros, he won it. He became only the second Italian man to win Roland Garros since 1976, ending a 49-year gap on his first attempt after returning from suspension. Think about what that sequence actually means. He served a doping ban. He came back. He entered a Grand Slam. He won it. Then came Wimbledon. He won his first Grand Slam title on grass, which completed something significant. He had now won on every surface. Clay, grass, hard courts, not a specialist who dominates in the right conditions. A complete player capable of beating anyone, anywhere, under any circumstances. He had learned that kind of adaptability on a ski slope long before tennis existed in his life. The 2026 season started, and it did not stop. Australian Open. His 3rd consecutive title in Melbourne, one of the rarest achievements in modern tennis. Then, Indian Wells fell. Then, Miami completed the Sunshine Double in the same year for the first time in his career. Then came Monte Carlo, the clay, and Carlos Alcaraz. Alcaraz is 22 years old, a 2-time Wimbledon champion and the most naturally gifted clay court player of his generation. Clay is where Alcaraz is most dangerous, explosive, instinctive, playing with the kind of physical freedom that makes opponents feel like they are competing against the sport itself rather than a single human being. Monte Carlo was supposed to be his territory. Sinner defeated him 7-6, 6-3 in straight sets. The crowd felt the significance before anyone articulated it. Alcaraz is everything Sinner is not on the surface. A firework where Sinner is a precision instrument, instinctive where Sinner is calculated, performing where Sinner simply competes. They are the 2 best players in the world. They make each other better. And in Monte Carlo, on Alcaraz's best surface, Sinner was the better man. 4 straight Masters titles. The first player to accomplish that since Novak Djokovic in 2015. 7 Grand Slams at 24 years old. A career win rate of 78%. The next Grand Slam final between Sinner and Alcaraz will tell us more about where this generation is going than any other match in tennis. That match is coming. The sport is waiting. Away from the court, Sinner is the same person he is on it. No manufactured drama, no social media performance, no energy borrowed from the crowd. He trains in Monte Carlo during the season with the same focused intensity the ski slopes demanded of him as a child. He does not need external noise to compete. He generates his own internal standard and measures himself against it rather than against the reaction of the people watching. His success has brought serious financial reward. Career prize money exceeding $60 million, brand partnerships with Nike, Rolex, and Gucci, and a net worth trajectory that, if his career continues at its current pace, places him in the conversation with the greatest earners the sport has ever produced. He is 24 years old. He has 15 years of professional tennis ahead of him if his body holds. 7 Grand Slams already built. The mountain did not care about his feelings when he was a child racing down steep trails at speed. It demanded composure. It demanded decision-making under pressure. It demanded that he learn to handle fear without being controlled by it. He carried every one of those lessons into tennis. And the tennis world, the opponents, the analysts, the governing bodies, the rivals, is still figuring out how to respond to a man who learned what pressure actually costs before he ever stepped onto a court. How many Grand Slams does Jannik Sinner finish with? Drop your number in the comments below. And subscribe, because that answer is being written right now in 2026, one tournament at a time. And with Jannik Sinner, the next chapter has never once looked like anyone predicted.